Hey all, this is Kasakma Kaparu for Project Illuminated, and today I want to title this video, You Will Be Exterminated. Before I get into the details of that, I want to take just a short detour and talk about Hollywood and movies. When I was a kid, I can remember watching tons of movies, tons of TV shows, and throughout all of them, the common thread was that they had this idea or ideology of that if you are good, you'll come out on top no matter what. And that's very prevalent in today's movies, where you can see where Bruce Willis, he's fighting the villain shoots him with a barrage of bullets, and Bruce Willis maybe gets hit once, it's only a flesh wound. But at the end of the day, he comes out on top, beats the villain, and he's heralded as this hero and gets the girl. And I can remember this in the old cowboy westerns, when the cowboy would ride off into the sunset and everything would be good. Now, Western civilization has a very primitive idea of what life is about and how we should be living our life, because it has this notion that because you're have the moral high ground, that you will come out on top. Now, I believe a lot of this is propaganda, because the reality of the situation is that I don't care how righteous you think you are or how in the right you think you are. The global elite, those that are controlling the planet, have an agenda, and they will carry that out, which means that they will depopulate the planet by exterminating you. And yes, you are right. If you believe that you're like this really devout Christian, you go to church every Sunday, or you're a really good Muslim and you pray to Muhammad or Allah or whatever, yes, that's great. But at the end of the day, if you don't take preventive measures to ensure that your family line is here tomorrow, or that you're here tomorrow, you're going to be exterminated. Your seed is going to be wiped out off the face of the planet, you know? And I preach a lot about creating your own reality, meaning that the thoughts that you harbor, the belief systems that you take within you into your psyche, your subconscious mind, permeate outward and create the reality around you. And yes, to a degree, you can control what happens, but there is a collective agreement that we've all come to a consensus on and agreed to, that when we come into this fourth dimensional linear reality, that we're going to have a certain experience, and part of that experience is that we're going to be interacting with the Illuminati, and that their agenda is to take you off or eliminate you from the face of the earth. And if you don't start taking measures to ensure that you're here, you're going to be exterminated. It's that simple. You can say, well, I'm praying to my Savior, or I'm waiting for divine intervention. Good luck with that, really, because we all know from the Jewish Holocaust, from the African slave trade, that millions of human lives were lost, and they were devout Christians, they were devout Jewish people, and Catholics and Muslims, all very righteous, I'm pretty sure. You know, they faced Mecca, they prayed, but at the end of the day, they all died, and they were killed unjustly. They were murdered. And if you don't learn from history, if you don't wake up and realize that, hey, you know what, those movies that are talking about, like you come out on top every day, in the movie you get the girl, you know, you beat the villain, that's not reality. That's not what has happened, because today we're living in the dark ages simply because we've lost the battle with the Illuminati. You see, if we had allowed things to continue along the correct timeline, meaning that the ancient civilizations were able to bring forth the world that they envisioned, we'd all be walking around very powerful spiritual beings. And because that they lost, because their cultures were literally wiped out, now we're living in this very left brain, externalized way of thinking and living, which doesn't really take into account the metaphysical and what's going on there. So I want you just to keep all this in mind, is that just because you have the moral high ground does not mean you'll be here tomorrow. Doesn't mean that you can just sit back and await divine intervention and hope that a Savior will come and get you out of this mess, because it will not happen. And don't come with the thinking like, well, during Judgment Day, you know, they'll get what they deserve. No, they won't. You know, I'm sorry to bring you that bad news, because this collective reality is based on the consensus that we've all agreed to. And if you don't agree here and now that we have to take action to stop the evil, then you might as well start digging your grave, because they will come for you and it will be all over. So this is Kasakma Keparu for Project Illuminated, and that's all for now. you.